Would you would you would you would you just please stay in the line with me just a little longer? Would you just stay on the line just a little bit longer with me? I know you're busy, but if you could just stay on the line. You don't even have to talk. I mean, just stay on the line while we travel through time together separately, it seems. Don't hang up. Just stay on the line just a little. Would you please? Hebrews 13, 5 through 7 is something I want to talk to you about this morning. But I was just kind of role playing a little bit. I like to do that on the show. I like to do that. Actually, I like to do that in my business life. If you talk to any of the people that work with me, for me, around me, uh, partnered with me, we're in a meeting, we're trying to get something done. It's not uncommon for me to just say, ring, 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 ring. And whoever I'm having a conversation with has to pick up the phone, metaphorically pick up the phone. And I just start to have a conversation with them. I just dive right in it. Now, if you're going to talk to a client and you have something on your heart and you have to talk about a service issue or you have a personnel issue or whatever it is, sometimes it's just more importantly that we just pick up the phone and we make the conversation. And sometimes it's just easier than to talk about it, to just throw yourselves into this role playing. Like role playing is great. Role playing is great because you're forced to put yourself in the moment. You're forced to put yourself in this situation and you have to respond spontaneously. So any given time, I'll say ring, 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 and Sam or Heather will pick. Heather doesn't like it. Tracy doesn't like it. Abby, she's okay with it. Jeannie, not so much. But Sammy, he's the guy that runs PayServe, and he's basically the brains of that thing, certainly now in many, many ways when it comes to clients and operations. He picks up the phone. Yeah, I'm here. I'm Sammy with PayServe. And we could just go right into this role play. And I think that when you look at life and you look at yourself and you look at some of the drama and the trauma and all the things that you're going through, sometimes you just have to pick up the phone and role play. And so in the intro this morning, I was kind of role playing. I didn't have the other side of the phone call, but I said, would you just stay on the line a little longer? Could you just be with me? And the inspiration of this morning's show was basically built around my time away from my wife this week. She's a wonderful person. I've been with her more than 40 years. And we have a lot of time away together. Now, I say it like that because when we're away, we're not really truly away because we're kindred spirits, right? But we talk on the phone and she's pretty good about calling me at night and trying to track me down. Are you in bed? Are you tired? Are you ready for your show the next morning? She's got the list of things. She's very purposeful about making the call. But I don't think all the time, and it's unfair to expect her to be completely engaged with my life. I mean, she has her own life, where we do life together. But when you're separate and you've got children and businesses, we have some 15 businesses, and then we also have 4 children. Not to mention they have children, which are 4 of them, and which are grandchildren. So there's a lot going on. But as much as I love her, she can't truly be engaged with me all the time. I want her to be engaged with me. I want her to hang on my every breath. I want her to pick up the phone when I call her. I want her to never hang up first. I want her to be the person that can just listen and say, okay, oh, you're doing okay. It's going to be fine. You're a rock star. And she does all those things, don't get me wrong, but just not enough, right? Like, who could ever really get enough? How could you just hang on the phone just a little longer? I know I'm on a plane. I know the noise in the background's a lot, but baby, if you could just stay on the phone with me just a little. I mean, my life isn't bad, but I really reach out to her sometimes and I just want her to be on the phone. I mean, have you ever been with somebody, and you're on the phone with them and then you run out of things to say, but you just sit on the phone and there's dead noise? Now, some of you might find that uncomfortable. And maybe in my younger years, I thought it was a nuisance. Not now. Tracy, could you just stay on the phone a little longer? It's been 6, 7 days. You don't have to say anything. Just do life and walk around with your headset on. I'll listen to the noise around. Let me hear the kids playing. Let me hear your computer chat. Let me hear the TV, maybe the commercial in the background. Let me hear your meetings that are going on. I mean, just take me around the room with you because I'm flying or I'm trying or maybe even be crying. You never know. But it's just this idea of somebody being with you at your, I don't want to say beck and call, but at your needed call. It's not Tracy's job. Probably put too much emphasis on that with her in my own mind, not openly. But it sure was nice, man. You just hung out with me on the plane. We were delayed on the tarmac and the noise was bothering you. I know that, but sure was nice that you stayed on the phone and we literally had nothing to say, but I could hear you doing commotion in the background and doing life. And I knew the plane was going to get up and after the layover and after the connection and after the next flight and after the drive home, some 9 hours to travel, I knew I would end up at the house with you. I knew you would be asleep, right? I knew all those things. But it was so nice just to have you hanging on the phone with me, saying nothing. I mean, there was even a time, honey, that I put you on mute so you didn't have to hear the ruckus and the announcer on the plane and all the things and the commotions and people asking me if I wanted cookies or nuts or coffee or a Bloody Mary or any, you didn't have to hear any of that. I put it on mute and you were so kind and considerate. I was just so grateful that you were just staying on the line with me. I love you for that. But ultimately, the connection broke and the plane was in the air. And as hard as I tried, I couldn't get on the internet. I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work on the Delta. And it was just a broken line. The reason I tell you that story is because I want to bring you Hebrews 13:5-7. And this verse screamed to me last night about 1:30, 2 in the morning. Like, what was I going to talk about? My entire existence kind of rolls around what I'm going to talk about in the morning to you. And it's Hebrews 13:5-7. And my wife, who is darn near perfect, brought this to me. Even as much as she loves me, even as much as she knows how much I love her, even as she knows how much we have our ins and outs in our communications and all the things that we're trying to do in our life, personal life, business life, family life, child life, spiritual life, all the things that we're doing. As much as we talk on the phone, we always get disconnected. She's my best friend. She's everything to me. She's my lifeline. She is my connection to my children. She is like literally the connection to one of the biggest businesses we own. She's still in that. She's She's just everything, and when I'm on the phone with her, I feel great, and when I have to hang up with her, I feel like crap. Could you just you don't even have to talk, honey, just stay on the phone. I just feel better that way, right? But ultimately, we're disconnected. And I started thinking, well, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to what I'm going to say this morning on this hurried up morning where I'm traveling back and forth and trying to figure out how to make all this work? I wonder how real famous people, get through and do all these things. I'm just so grateful for all the help and support I have, and I'm grateful to be here in Florida this morning. Hebrews 13:5 says, make sure that your character is free from the love of money, being content with what you have. For he himself has said, I will never desert you, nor will I ever forsake you. So that we confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. For then what can man do to me? And so the reason I kind of came up with that verse, and it's a deep verse, there's a lot I teach on in my Tiki Hut retreats, but I really want you to understand in that verse, in this short message I'm prepared to give you today, can you just stay on the line just a little longer with me? You don't have to say a word, just hang out with me, just be around me. I just know if you're on the phone and you're doing live, that I'm part of your life and you're part of my life. And one of us can speak and one of us can hear, but we don't even really need to say anything, do we? We can just walk around for hours, not even literally talking, as long as we're on the phone together in a person's existence and we have the ability to say hello, goodbye, how you doing, what just happened. But ultimately, we get disconnected. Now, I'm not going to teach on keep your life free from the love of money, but I will tell you that that's the root of all this problems in our lives in many, many ways is the love of money. God is telling us in Hebrews that to keep yourself free from the love of money. Just in the beginning of this teaching, I want you to understand in Hebrews, God is saying, just listen, first of all, just don't love money, right? Because the love of money is the root of evil. Money is not bad on its own. It can bring lots of joy and happiness to a lot of people. It has in my life, but I want you to keep yourself free from that. That's another lesson another day. He says, and then he says, for love of money and be content with what you have. Listen, so if you don't love money, right, then you can be content with what you have. And what you have is what? Relationships. I don't even think God's really kind of talking about the Maserati or the house on the hill or the jet or the yacht, or I don't think be content with that. I don't think he's really teaching on that as much as he's saying don't love money, be aware that you need money in your life to help create joy and more and happiness. He's saying be aware of that. He says, but truthfully, be content with what you have, and that is relationships. Make sure that your foundation is not on money, but on relationships. And that's what I would tell you today. But then he goes on to say, for he said, if you understand that to be content with what you have and you understand do not love money, he says, then this will occur. I want you to know, I will never leave you nor forsake you, so that for we can say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? And so I want to just go back to the opening story and kind of close today with this thought process with you, because if you catch on to what I'm talking about, if you listen to me on a regular basis, you're already listening to the story. Now you got the scripture, and now you got to have the lesson, right? Story, scripture, lesson is the greatest cocktail God ever created. Story, scripture, lesson. Story, scripture, lesson. The story is a man on a phone. He misses his wife. He wants to come home, and he says, babe, just don't hang up. Just stay on the phone a little longer with me. You don't even have to talk. Just be with me. I feel better. But ultimately, the plane takes off, the Wi-Fi disconnects, and so does the phone call. But God says, if you free yourself from the love of money, right? And you're content with your relationships of the people in your life and the things that are moving forward in your life, it's going to be so much easier because I will never leave you nor forsake you. So let's just focus on that for today. God is on the phone 24/7 with you. I never have to say, God, will you just stay on the line just a little longer with me? God, will you just not hang up? Will you just stay on the phone a little longer with me? I need you around me. Yes, Todd. And when we get up in the sky and the internet kind of disconnects in the airplane and the phone clicks off, will you stay on the phone with me? Yes, Todd. Because, Todd, I want you to know, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. And if you know that, Todd, the phone never goes dead. The phone never hangs up. The Wi-Fi never gets interrupted. The power never shuts off. I am here with you. I will never, ever, ever leave you nor forsake you, Todd. Don't you understand that? So if you know that, then you can confidently say, Todd, and tell all the listeners that they can understand that I am their helper. So you can confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. For what then can man do to you, Todd? You mean it, God? I mean it, Todd. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. So what you're saying, God, is that there's never interruption in our connection. That's correct, Todd. And that you'll never leave me nor forsake me. And if I understand that, what can man do to me? Probably one of the most powerful verses I've ever heard in my life. I've written it in the back of my Bibles and my books, Hebrews 13. I will never leave you nor forsake you, for then what can man do to you? I am your helper. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. For then, if that is true, then what can man do to you? I love my wife, and she'll hang on the phone as long as she can until her arm gets tired or her ear pods run out of batteries or her phone runs out of juice. She'll just do life like crazy. I can hear dishes. I can hear laundry. I can hear her dealing with children. I can hear her doing everything. She'll just hang on as long as she can. But all of a sudden, at some point, the phone shuts off. She just can't stay on the phone long enough. She's got her own life. She's got all the things going on in her life. And she wants to make me first, but she can't do it because her life is so busy, right? But all of a sudden, you realize what God is talking about in Hebrews 13, 5, 7. He is saying, I will never leave you nor forsake you. My phone will never run out of juice. I will never run out of energy. I will never disconnect you. I will never have Wi-Fi interruption. I will never have lag. I will never have any of those things in my life for you if you just put me first, because I promise you, do not love money. Be content in your relationships. You're wired differently. You are a misfit on that world, and you have a full-on one-on-line pipe, clear connection to me that never shuts off. I will never forsake you. For then what can man do to you? Man. Hebrews 13, 5, 7. God's just that person, man. I will never leave you nor forsake you, for I am your helper. Now you can say confidently, you are my helper, for then what can man do to you? Listen, everybody, I got just a little extra giddy up in my step this morning because I'm in Florida. I landed late last night, and I'm super excited to have this message with you. And it was clearly inspired by a conversation or lack of a conversation I had with my wife as we traveled through the Atlanta airport, Fort Wayne airport, and delays and everything. It was just so amazing how God works in me and inspires me and lets me understand how to share his love with you, right? Hebrews 13:5-7 is literally, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I want you to understand this. A lot of persecution with a lot of things going on out there in this world. And I want you to understand that we believe Paul was telling the Hebrews and the new converted believers that, listen, stay the course, because if you believe in me, I will never leave you nor forsake you, right? Don't get caught up in loving money, right? Be content with the relationships that you have with me and growing with me, but I will never leave you nor forsake you. The phone that you have in your ear with the best friend, anybody in your life, my wife, even that line gets shut down, but the line God has for us is never ending. And he says in Hebrews 13:5, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So that we now can boldly say with confidence that I am your helper. For then what can man do to you? Listen, get online at wireddifferently.com and see that shirt right there, iron sharpens iron. See the shirt right here, Wired Differently. All kinds of shirts there. Come on, help support this mindset ministry movement and my mission. I'm so excited to share the growth with you. And I want to be your mentor. I want to be your coach. Get there, wireddifferently.com. Type in the promo code WIRED15 and get an extra 15% off. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, you guys, so much for all that you do for